Modifying and applying CSS styles via JavaScript and the DOM is the topic of this lecture. We already know CSS is for styling. A single CSS file may have bunch of selectors containing lot of properties. So the main styling is always done with the CSS, but the JavaScript is also capable. JavaScript can also apply CSS styles or the properties. But it doesn't mean JavaScript or the DOM by any mean gonna replace the CSS. No, CSS will still be there and it has its own importance. When we use JavaScript to modify the CSS, then there's only one reason. We want to produce some dynamic effects which can only be done using the JavaScript, right? So let's now move on and see how do we apply CSS with the JavaScript. So all we have is a single property, style. So this property is used to apply styles via JavaScript. And the JavaScript version of the CSS properties is the camel case version. Okay, I have misspelled here. It should be camel case, right? The CSS uses the lowercase letter for the properties. And if the properties has more than one word, then they put a dash in between to separate them. So this is the CSS version. JavaScript uses the camel case. In the camel case, except the first word, every other word starts with an uppercase letter. So the JavaScript uses this camel case notation. So let me show you some examples. In the HTML, I have a div and a paragraph, and we're going to style them using the JavaScript and the DOM. So the first step is always the selection. So let's select the div and the paragraph. So we have selected both the elements. Now to the div, I want to apply width, height, and the background color. So to the div, I will call the style property and then the height property. And the height is, let's say, 200 pixels. And now again, now I will call the width property and the same width, 200 pixels. And now the background to the div, I can take yellow background. So here you see, using the style property, I can simply apply CSS. So this is our page, the text in the div and the paragraph. Now let me refresh the page, and here you see the CSS we apply to the div, and to the document you can see all the properties. I can also apply flex or grid to the element if I am intending to change the layout or position my element differently. Let's say I want to put this text to the center of the div, so I can do that using the flex. So to the div, I am going to first apply the flex. And now justify content, center, and then align items also center, right? Now let me refresh the page, and here you see the text in the center of the div. So you can see JavaScript can also modify CSS. But remember one thing, you will use JavaScript for this purpose when you only have few properties to modify or apply. But if you have so many properties, then this wouldn't be a good option. The better option is create a class selector in the CSS file, put your properties inside it, and then add that class to the element via JavaScript, just like we did in the previous lecture. You will get the same effects, dynamic effects, where the things are done with JavaScript. For example, in the CSS, we create a selector, let's say div styles. So put all the properties inside. And now we can simply add this class to the div dynamically using the JavaScript. So we don't need these properties here directly. Simply to the div, call class name property and apply the class div styles. That's it. So the JavaScript is still controlling the things, but now we have better code structure and you won't see any difference in the output. So that was modifying and applying styles via JavaScript. And now you know how to do that. So now we have covered all the aspects of DOM manipulation. You know how to select the element, how to create elements, how to manipulate attributes and classes, and how to modify and apply styles via the JavaScript. So we have covered all these things, and I believe now you have a solid background in the understanding of the DOM. Next lecture is the last lecture. We will learn to code the events. And as I told you in the introduction of this course, the events are everything. If you can't code events, then you simply can't apply all these concepts practically. So if you have followed along up till now, so I would say don't miss out the next lecture. You will see the practical use and the implementation of the DOM. I'll see you there.